Ever had a random conversation with a stranger that completely changed the trajectory of your afternoon?
Welcome back to the English Pulse. I'm Chloe.
And I'm James. In today's episode, we are tracking a beautiful, natural connection that sparks between two new friends, Katie and Leo. You are going to hear two sets of conversations happening back to back.
First, they navigate a busy, vibrant bookstore, and next, they head out to share some thoughts over a bowl of delicious gelato.
Keep your ears open. We want you to pay close attention to the way they naturally transition their topics, and look out for alternate ways to express your personal interests.
As always, we will have a quick pulse check quiz waiting for you at the very end to test what you've learned. Let's listen in.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. I was trying to reach that top shelf.
No worries at all. Actually, you lucked out. That was the last copy of Dune. Are you into science fiction?
Big time. I have a soft spot for stories about space exploration and advanced technology. What aspect of the genre usually catches your attention?
For me, I usually gravitate toward historical fiction.
Oh, nice! Like The Pillars of the Earth? What is it about history that hooks you?
Exactly. That's a classic. I am mostly drawn to the dramatic political struggles and seeing how ordinary people lived in different eras. It really brings history to life.
That makes sense. I love a good historical setting too, but I prefer when it's mixed with a bit of time travel.
Hey, that sounds like the best of both worlds. You know, all this book talk is making me crave something sweet. Are you up for grabbing an ice cream?
Oh, I'd love that. There's a really great gelato place just around the corner.
Perfect. Let's head over there now. By the way, I'm Leo.
I'm Katie. Nice to meet you, Leo. Lead the way.
Wow, this hazelnut gelato is incredible. How is your raspberry?
So good. It's the perfect mix of sweet and tart. Honestly, I really needed to wind down after a crazy week.
I know what you mean. You mentioned earlier that you work from home and stare at screens all day. What exactly do you do?
I'm a graphic designer for a marketing agency. I love creating visuals, but it's tough when clients pile on extra work right before a deadline.
That sounds exhausting. How do you deal with that pressure without burning out?
It's tough, but my coworkers always help me deal with the stress. Plus, when a project finally goes live and looks beautiful, it feels incredibly rewarding. That's what keeps me going. What about you? What do you do?
I'm a high school history teacher.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. What's the hardest part of the job?
Keeping teenagers engaged at 8 a.m. is a daily battle. Sometimes it takes a lot of energy just to get through the morning lessons. Plus, the grading never ends.
I can imagine. So what makes you stay?
It's those small moments when a student finally understands a difficult concept. Making a real impact on their lives makes all the paperwork worth it.
That's beautiful, Leo. It sounds like we both have stressful jobs, but we genuinely care about what we do.
Exactly. To survive the work week.
Cheers to that.
Welcome back.
We are so glad you're tuning in today. In this episode, we are diving deep into the conversations between Katie and Leo. They had a classic meet-cute at a bustling bookstore, discovered their contrasting book tastes, and ended up chatting over some delicious gelato.
It is a fantastic, realistic set of dialogues packed with expressions you will actually hear native speakers use. We've pulled out 10 essential vocabulary highlights to break down for you word for word.
So, get comfortable and let's get started with expression number 1.
First up, we have the phrasal verb lucked out. In the dialogue, when Katie accidentally bumped into Leo while reaching for a sci-fi book, Leo said, "Actually, you lucked out. That was the last copy of Dune."
To lucked out means to be incredibly lucky or fortunate in a specific situation, usually by pure chance. It's like when you show up at a popular bakery right as they put out a fresh batch of cookies, or when you find a $20 bill in your old winter coat. You didn't plan it, you just lucked out.
Our second idiom is a beautiful idiom, have a soft spot for. Katie uses this to describe her reading habits. She says, "I have a soft spot for stories about space exploration and advanced technology."
If you have a soft spot for something or someone, it means you have a strong sentimental fondness or liking for them. You might hear people use similar phrases like to be partial to be a sucker for, or to have a weakness for. James, do you have any major soft spots?
Oh, absolutely. I am a total sucker for adoption videos of golden retrievers. If one pops up on my feed, I will literally sit at my desk and cry. What about you, Chloe?
For me, it's definitely midnight snacks, specifically cold pizza straight from the fridge. I have a massive soft spot for it. I just can't say no.
Moving on to number 3, Leo uses a great verb when he says, "But honestly, I usually gravitate toward historical fiction."
To gravitate towards something means to be naturally attracted to it or to move toward a specific interest, person, or group without even realizing it. Think of it like physical gravity pulling you in. When you walk into a store, you don't even think about it. Your feet just carry you straight to that specific section.
Number 4 is the verb hook. Katie asks Leo, "What is it about history that hooks you?"
Now, we know the word hook has a lot of different meanings. It can be a noun, like a fish hook or a coat hook on the wall. In music, a hook is that catchy part of a song that gets stuck in your head. But as a verb in conversation, it means to completely captivate someone's attention and keep them deeply interested.
Exactly. And notice how Katie uses it to ask what he likes. Instead of asking a generic question like, "Why do you like history?" she asks, "What hooks him?" Other natural ways to ask, "What do you like?" include, "What got you into this?" "What catches your eye?" or "What are you big on?" Expression number 5 comes up when Leo realizes Katie likes historical settings mixed with time travel. He laughs and says, "Hey, that sounds like the best of both worlds."
The best of both worlds describes an ideal situation where you can enjoy the advantages of two completely different things at the very same time. It's like having a job where you get paid a high corporate salary, but you are allowed to work entirely from a beach in Bali. You get the money, and you get the vacation views. The best of both worlds.
Now we're moving into the gelato shop, where Katie takes a bite of her ice cream and says, "Honestly, I really needed to wind down after a crazy week."
To wind down means to slowly relax, rest, and let go of stress after a period of intense work or excitement. But before we look closer at the phrase, I want everyone to notice something important about how Katie and Leo talk.
Yes, notice how they don't just jump straight into a heavy conversation about their stressful jobs. They start by commenting on their shared environment, the delicious hazelnut and raspberry gelato. Discussing your immediate surroundings is a fantastic and natural transition technique in English before moving on to personal topics like work. Number 7 is another excellent phrasal verb, pile on. Katie explains a struggle at her graphic design job, saying, "It's tough when clients pile on extra work right before a deadline."
To pile on means to give someone a massive amount of tasks, responsibilities, or work all at once, making them feel overwhelmed. If your boss hands you 3 new assignments on a Friday afternoon, they are piling it on. Similar phrasal verbs you can use are to swamp someone with or to load up.
Our 8th expression is get through. Leo uses this to describe his mornings as a teacher, saying, "Sometimes it takes a lot of energy just to get through the morning lessons."
To get through something means to successfully manage, endure, or survive a difficult, exhausting, or boring experience.
And a quick shout out to our longtime listeners. You might recognize this one. We heavily featured get phrasal verbs in our recent special lesson series, Speak Natural Get Verbs. If you want a deeper dive into how versatile the word get is, make sure to go back and check out that episode. Next one isn't just a vocabulary word, it's a brilliant conversation strategy. Katie asks Leo, "So what makes you stay?"
This is a fantastic language hack for English learners. Instead of asking blunt or slightly negative questions like, "Why do you still work there?" or "Why haven't you quit yet?" asking "What makes you stay?" is incredibly simple, polite, and respectful. It shifts the focus entirely on the positive motivations behind someone's hard work.
Our final expression for today is the phrase, make something worth it. Leo answers Katie by saying, making a real impact on their lives makes all the paperwork worth it.
When you say something makes it worth it, it means the positive outcome or the reward completely balances out all the intense effort, pain, or trouble it took to get there. James, I think this one really resonates with us, doesn't it?
Oh, completely. Recording and editing a podcast takes hours of hard work, and sometimes our equipment drives us crazy. But when we see the comments from our global community saying we help them feel more confident, it makes every single second completely worth it.
11th Pulse Check Quiz.
Now, it wouldn't be an episode of the English Pulse without our Pulse Check quiz. Let's see how well you can apply today's expressions. We have 2 fill-in-the-blank questions for you.
Question number 1. I always toward modern minimalist architecture whenever I browse home design magazines.
And question number 2, after running a full marathon, a hot bath and a warm cup of tea helped me down.
Do you know the answers? Type them out and leave them down in the comment section below so we can check your work.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep improving your casual English, please make sure to subscribe to the English Pulse, give this episode a thumbs up, and drop a good comment to let us know which expression was your favorite today.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, keep your fingers on the pulse of English.
Bye-bye.